Bless, bless, bless. It's the Down to Earth Network, the Down to Earth podcast with your host, Sean Myrie. Got a special one for you. It's a review coming straight to you. But this is a review of a other great content maker name, goes by the name of What's the Dirt. He's been covering a lot of this Drake, Kendrick Lamar beef, a lot of content he has, but especially the episode what Drake put out a couple weeks ago, the Ice Man series, if you want to say streaming. He put out part one, part two, part three was his latest. He was in Milan or Italy doing the stream, promoting the album, right? A lot of people are talking about it all over the net, including this brother right here. What's the dirt? Let's just hear what he got to say.
Real quick before we get started, I think this is like the best breakdown that I've ever made. Like, I'm super proud of this. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys. So we finally got Iceman episode 3 from Drake, and this time it all went down in Milan, Italy. A quick refresher, episode 1 was in Toronto. We had Drake at the Iceman factory. We got the single for What Did I Miss? And then he drove the delivery truck through the city for all of downtown to witness. In episode 2, he went even heavier on the visuals, where Drake's team turned it up a couple notches. We had Drake at the brewery. He was staring at a couple red buttons. A Pinocchio was stalking him. He received.
So What's the Dirt is basically giving you, a recap of the whole series, right? Breaking down from 1, 2, and he's going to get to 3. Just listen to him.
The mysterious bag from Central C. We got the record for which one. He gets away from the Pinocchio, jumps in an elevator where he stares at another red button before he catches a train. That's a high level review of what happened so far. And now with episode number 3, Drake's team took the production to a whole other level, as this episode required 16 cameras, 2 steady cams, 1 drone, 14 locations.
One thing I got to give Drake. This is one thing I got to give Drake. He's the evolution of an artist that he realizes technology. He has to use the technology, right? Which is streaming. Streaming, not music, but the visuals. Streaming to promote his new project, the Iceman album, right? And I'm reviewing the breakdown.
With just 3 days to prepare, and I didn't count, but there has to be at least over 100 actors. A lot of people overlook like the work that goes into this, including me, but this is like a live film. Just a quick disclaimer, there are a lot of Italian landmarks and references in this episode, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce some of these words properly, but I'm destined to mess up some of these names. The episode opens up with a wide shot of Castello Safranza in Milan. During the day, this is one of the...
So, What's the Dirt's going to go through a lot of this symbolism, right? It's like this whole story, what Drake has put out there for, I guess, content makers like What's the Dirt and me, myself. But I'm not going too deep into it because this is just to deflect this whole lawsuit shit and that he lost the battle. That's what it is.
Easiest places for tourism, but in this shot, it looks lifeless as it's shot at nighttime. Now, inside these walls lies some of the most celebrated art in human history. Names like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael all have beautiful murals and statues inside this castle. But here's the twist, none of them owned their art. No matter how brilliant they were, these artists were paid for their labor and not their legacy. Whoever controlled and owned the castle also...
So What's the Dirt is comparing, I'm guessing he's comparing the artists from Italy to the music industry. That's what he's comparing it to, because we're talking about Drake. So that's what he's doing. You guys could look into it.
Own the art. For as long as these famous pieces have lived behind these walls and the billions of dollars generated from tourists that go see it, the families of these genius creators have not earned a penny. From a music perspective, they didn't own their masters, right? This castle is a perfect symbol of power, control, and legacy as it pertains to art, and I believe it's a perfect representation of the music industry and how things work.
See, I already knew before I even seen that part, right? Before I even seen what he was saying, I was saying he's probably referencing the music industry with the artists from Italy.
Just like the famous art behind these walls, the music and legacy of an artist is owned by the label. In theory, UMG is no different than the leaders who own this castle. They'll put up the money to fund an artist, but more times than not, they own the music forever. It's almost like as long as art has existed, there's been this power dynamic where rich, wealthy, powerful people own the art and not the people who actually make it. Next, we see a bunker that is full of ice with two.
So, if we're talking about rich people who own it, maybe I'm getting a little controversial, but Drake, he's linked right up there with those people, right? Where his background is where he comes from. So he's not really no poor soul or anything like that. I don't know about that. What's the difference?
Shovels and what appears to be a very similar sized block to the block that we saw Drake measure in episode 1. Now, the location of this bunker is at the business location of Iceman in Milan, not to get confused with the business of Iceman in Toronto. They are two separate enterprises, but this is a perfect shot that acts as a visual motif to remind us right away of the continued theme around the Iceman. Again, this has all been planned for quite some time. Next, we see the shot of the San Siro Stadium in Milan.
So what's this all supposed to do? This is my thinking. What's all this supposed to prove? What's all this? Is this going to make the album #1? Is this the round 2 for Kendrick Lamar, The Battle? Is this round 2? I want to know because episode 3 didn't get a lot of respect. it was quiet after that. This whole episode 3. I mean, yeah. Let's keep
Milan, which is one of the most iconic stadiums in the world for hosting football, concerts, and cultural events. The most unique aspect about this stadium is the fact that two rival football teams share it. They have one of the most famous and long-standing rivalries in the history of sports, and that is AC.
So, what's this all supposed to mean? Is this comparing Drake and Kendrick Lamar? Like, really? Like, what's this all supposed to mean? The symbolism? Is it the Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle? Because that's the only thing I could point out why he's bringing up like these comparisons, right? Let's see what else.
Milan versus Inter Milan. This competitive dynamic under the same roof is a perfect example of how UMG structures its business. On the east, we have Monty Littman, who looks after the East Coast.
Now he's comparing the football team, soccer team to UMG. They're both corporations, right? Let's just give him a chance. Let's see what he's saying.
Labels. And on the west, we have John Janik, who controls the power of the West Coast labels. These two executives in particular have been battling for years to see which side is more profitable, aka which team wins, but ultimately it all falls under the ownership of UMG. But get this,
which is a monopoly. It all falls under the ownership of UMG, which is a monopoly, right? Playing everybody. All rhymes, man. Let's go.
In 2006, AC Milan CEO Adriano Galliani was caught in a match-fixing scandal. Basically, the CEO was hand-picking the referees to call the games. You want to know how they got caught? Wiretaps and a whole lot of them. I'm talking direct evidence of discussing which referees should call their games. Now, call me crazy, but from Drake, we've seen owls on phone lines. We have entire records like Nokia based on phone calls. There's a theme around taps itself.
I got your fucking lines tapped, I swear to.
Oh man, come on now. Now this is kind of getting a little bit ridiculous now. Phone taps. So this is like a conspiracy against Drake. Right? This is what's the dirty saying, or who's saying this? This sounds like this is a conspiracy now coming up.
Dialed in.
And he even installed a phone booth outside of his house.
It's a big Bridle Path mansion, a payphone booth. Remember those?
Is this like a subliminal message from Drake? I don't know, but a phone booth is where you would go to avoid wiretaps.
Paulie hated phones. You wouldn't have one in his house.
This is funny, man. Symbolism, a phone booth outside of his house. When I saw that, man, I was laughing. I was saying, what the frig is this guy doing right now? He has a basketball court in his house, right? And now he got a phone booth right outside of his house. Most phone booths don't even exist anymore in Toronto. It's hard to even find one. So, look on the symbolism of that. You can't really even find those anymore, right? So dig into that.
Guy flipped about 10 years ago and he got busted for peddling H.
The scene then switches to the Bacchiophilia Casalanza. I'm so bad at this, bro. It's here where we get a yellow and blue backdrop with a few old timers playing bocce ball. Now, bocce in particular is a game that takes time and patience. It's not a fast action sport. Players take time to measure angles and plan their shots well in advance. With this Iceman rollout, Drake has been playing the long game. There are many clues that the title of Iceman has been in the works since 2003, and we saw...
Man, if you look up the Iceman, I don't know about all of that from 2003. But if you look up the Iceman, where he got it from, it's two things. Marvel Comics, right? The real name's Bobby Drake, right? And he's a gay superhero. And then the other character, the Iceman, is a serial killer, a murderer. So I don't know which one he's referring to, because you know Drake got that idea from somewhere else, right?
Iceman references on the Plot Twist Instagram account just weeks after his beef with Kendrick ended.
Y'all put it in the front page, back page, middle page, wherever, headliners, column 1 or 2, we will win game 2.
Next, we see a statue called the Mother Abu, and I believe this statue represents one of the most important aspects of the episode. This statue is based on an old 1800s play where Mother Abu is this greedy, power-hungry woman who will do anything to get to the top. She manipulates her husband into killing the king so that he...
So who's that supposed to be? Kendrick? I'm just wondering if that's supposed to be Kendrick. Let's play.
...and take the throne. Mother Abu causes massive damage and chaos because she pushes her husband to make reckless choices. These are choices where it looks like he's making them himself, but really she's behind the scenes calling the shots. In a nutshell, the statue symbolizes greed and manipulation. It's a strong statement that the person wearing the crown isn't always in control and that there are invisible forces pulling the strings.
So who's wearing the crown? Wasn't Drake... No. Who's wearing the crown? Wasn't Drake wearing it for 15 years? So who was pulling the strings when Drake was the biggest, and still big, for 15 years? Who's wearing the crown? Is it supposed to be Kendrick right now? I just want to know. Is it supposed to be Kendrick? Who's pulling the strings? UMG? Okay.
Behind the scenes. A good example will be like, say, a president, right? People say, oh, the president is just a puppet. There's people behind the scenes really pulling the strings, and that's basically what the statue represents. Up to this point in the video, there has been no sound whatsoever, but this is where it changes as we hear Parole Parole by Minna.
All these little things, man. Let me go past this thing a little bit.
Talking to a woman and she is singing back to him. The man continuously compliments the woman, and in every sense of the word, he's telling her what she wants to hear. However, the woman is not buying it. To her, it's all words, and she sees right through them. The phrase parole, parole quite literally means words, words. In France, they'll use it by saying, like, that's just words. Like, it's all talk, like parole, parole. It's also
I gotta give What's the Dirt this. He's doing all this digging up stuff, and it's like, man, he's really digging and trying to connect all these things for the Iceman 3, man. Like, this is jokes, man.
It's also extremely interesting to point out that Minna had a history of being dissatisfied with record labels. She was being taken advantage of financially, and she had very little creative control. That was until she left her label behind and started an independent label called PDU with her father. The most interesting part about this is the fact that Minna is known as the first Italian singer to ever own her own record label and recording studio. She is the first Italian musician to really fight for independence in the music.
Interesting. Is he trying to correlate that Drake is fighting the music industry like this lady, right, for his masters or for his rights? This is what it seems like What's the Dirt is pointing out, right? That Drake is fighting the music industry for everybody, but he's only fighting for himself. Let's be straight up.
Industry. She's Italy's first independent superstar. What's even more impressive is that Minna's career completely exploded as an independent artist. She gained far more success on her own than she ever did under her record deal. And it's the specific music he uses and artist he uses and architecture that he shoots that really it helps to tell the story. The song itself is literally about empty promises in a toxic relationship, as Minna sings from the perspective of a woman who's been lied to repeatedly. Drake could be making a statement about the label executives that portrayed him.
This whole thing is getting kind of ridiculous, straight up. With Drake, it's getting kind of ridiculous, this stuff. Like, I'll watch some more.
Or the countless rumors that are in circulation when it comes to his name. Really, it's one of the simplest ways for Drake to address everything, like parole, parole, like all that's just talk. It's just words. Next, we see a standard open door, but it's part of a much larger door frame. This is often referred to as a wicket door, and it's very common in older Italian architecture. Humans would go through the smaller door, and like the bigger door was used for like cows and like cattle and stuff like that. This door in particular is located at the Chiesa del Carmen Church in Milan. And it's at the end of the video where we're really going to talk about this church. Eventually the music stops and the scene cuts to the Iceman truck in Milan. What we see next is the entrance sign for the exact same location from the scene with the bocce court. Also note,
I must say, this is like detective work. What's the Dirt is doing? He's doing some investigative reporting. This is like detective work. I have to give him it, man. All these things he's putting together, and it's like a clue. And I don't know. This is something, some good shit. It's entertaining.
That this area is under surveillance, which is a theme we have seen throughout the Iceman series. In fact, the Mother Abu statue that I just showed you also clearly had a camera staring directly at it. The scene then moves through the restaurant, giving us a full 360 view of the space before Drake finally appears, carrying the same bag from episode 2 on his back. He's also wearing the same Iceman hoodie that we've seen in the first 2 episodes, so there's continuity across the series.
I'm wondering what people got to say about a lot of this stuff, because What's the Dirt is going in, and I know he gets criticized a lot, right? He's going in a lot on this whole stuff right now.
However, this time I did notice something specific about the bag, and that is that it's camouflage. I don't think this was a random design choice, as camouflage can be seen as a symbol of war, a sign of moving strategically, and a way of blending in while plotting your next move. I don't think the camouflage bag is like a random thing. We then see Drake carrying the bag as he walks past Rose.
Man, this is almost too much for me. It's almost too much for me because it's kind of getting ridiculous, right? I'm going to be doing part 2 of this because it's a long, like he done over 45 minutes of this, right? The Iceman episode 3. So like all these little clues and things, Drake lost the battle, man.
And rows of trophies. You'll soon see that legacy is a major theme in this episode, and you'll notice he takes a moment to check some of them out. Drake, of course, already has countless accolades and awards, which makes this shot interesting, but we'll circle back to this later. Think about protecting your legacy, but also building on your legacy. Drake then walks out to the bocce court, he takes a seat, he pulls out his phone, and proceeds to call Yeet, who is playing the character of a man shown on screen at another location.
Yeet, he just came out with a song with Yeet, a famous up-and-coming rapper from, you know, the West Coast of America. Coincidentally, this person is called Yeet, if my ears are, you know, not hearing clear. But people, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I'm going to be doing part 2 of this for sure.
You made it all right?
So right away, it seems like we have a narrative bridge to connect the 2 episodes as Yeet confirms that Drake made it to the location safely. And remember, episode 2 ended off with Drake catching a train. You made it here all right? Like it kind of connects the 2 episodes, right? In the phone conversation, we do hear Drake talking and you can hear him whisper, but as much as I manipulate the audio, I can't really pick out what he's saying, except for one portion where he says, "I'll see you when I see you." Yeet seems to be playing the role of...
The end, people. Please subscribe. I'll be back for part